The importance of Ben Hogan's waggle. It was more than just a waggle. He clearly states in his book that that was a dress rehearsal of what was about to happen. Makes sense, that. Because it's called a waggle, this waggle, because it's actually called a waggle, in Ben's book he explains that makes it, that perceives it as something that is just to loosen things off. It's just a waggle. It's not that important. Not the case. Mr. Hogan says here on page 65, far from being just a lot of minute details, it is sort of miniature practice swing, an abbreviated dry run for this coming shot. As the golfer takes the club back on the waggle, he accustomises himself to the path of the club while being taken on his actual backswing. As he waggles the club forward, he adjusts himself so that the face of the club will be coming into the ball square and on line. So there's a lot going on in the waggle that's dictating what's actually going to happen at impact. I watched Ray Floyd. Ray Floyd used to have a sort of this going on, and that was his mini swing. So he's taking the club out and dropping it inside, and his little waggle was like that because that's the dress rehearsal of what's going to happen. As Mr. Hogan calls it, dry run. But Ben's waggle was different. Ben's waggle is like, the detail behind it's incredible. I'm going to go right through it with you. Now, in Hogan's waggle, he would take an address position, his upper arms and the side of his chest, that connection is maintained all the time. That does not move. The connection's always there. He also states that the shoulders do not move in the waggle either. When I take my practice swing with Eureka, I move my whole upper body and back through. It's more of a dress rehearsal of the actual motion. Ben's is just the waggle. The waggle of the hands sets the body and sets him up so that the body speaks to the movement of the hands. I will read this whole chapter out to you at the end of this video. He clearly states here, the shoulders do not turn during the waggle. The feet make only small adjustment movements. The hands and arms move. As they waggle the club, the hands and arms pass their rhythm, their tempo of coordination onto the legs and feet. So this feeling from the hands translates through his body, but the body doesn't really move. The shoulders definitely do not move. He states that many times. So in Ben Hogan's waggle, the left hand is controlling the waggle. The right hand, well, it just works along with the left. So the left hand does what it does and the right hand works along with that. So reading this as we go, each time you waggle the club back, the right elbow should hit the front part of the right hip, just about where your watch pocket is. So the right elbow is touching the right hip on the waggle. So there's connection there between right elbow and right hip. There's connection here, actually touching. So then when this takes place, when the right elbow touches the right pocket, he says that the left elbow, as it must, comes out slightly. So right elbow touches right pocket, left elbow comes out slightly. He says the lower part of the left arm, so from the elbow down, starts to rotate just slightly, like so. And then he says that the left hand moves 3 inches or so past the ball towards the target. And then as the hands move back to the ball in the forward waggle, the left hand again also moves an inch past the ball towards the target. So what does that suggest? Well, the right elbow touches the right hip where the pocket watch would be. There. Your lower arm rotates slightly, left hand goes towards target. Remember, your upper arms are connected to your body. There. Then as the club comes back towards the golf ball, the leading hand still stays 1 inch ahead of the golf ball. Okay, so we've just had that conversation. I'm going to dress here like Hogan. I'm good there. My elbows point towards my hips, my upper arms are connected to my chest. There. With my waggle, now, this is the important part. The trail elbow touches the trail hip. The left hand goes forward. So there's nothing going on with the shoulders, it's that. It's just that. So you can see the lead hand goes 3 inches ahead of the golf ball. So if I started here, there, and then when I waggle back through, the lead hand is still 1 inch ahead. I can feel my body, I can feel my upper body, my legs and my feet reacting to that. I'm not just standing here doing that, I'm getting comfortable for the shot I'm going to hit. I'm there, trail elbow, touching trail hip, lead hand going forward, lower arm rotating, there. Wow, and that's the path of the club on the way back. Now, the shoulders don't move. When the shoulders are activated, After the hands, hands, arms, then shoulder, hands, arms, then shoulder. All it does is it creates a wider waggle. So Ben doesn't put that in initially, he just creates the wider waggle once the shoulders start to move. That's during the swing. And then, ironically, he says don't groove your waggle. I'm like, well, you've just completely explained this is how the waggle happens, but don't groove it. So, why is that? Well, he says the waggle's different for every shot. So it depends on what shot you're trying to play. So I guess if I'm trying to hit a draw, I'm going to pull this club a little bit more inside. I guess if I'm going for a fade, I'm going to set myself up, and the waggle's going to be the same, but the club's going a little bit more out. So there, draw, here, and then he varies it when he plays the shot. So it's really interesting that how the body reacts to the waggle. I love that. I love that, the feel of the waggle, and I'm setting my body and setting myself in position. He then moves on from there. And he discusses the type of shot you're trying to play. So if you're trying to bomb a driver, your waggle is different from when you're trying to play a nice soft 7-iron into a green, for example. So hitting a 7-iron into a green, for example, this one here, I'm just going to hit a smooth 7-iron in there. So my waggle, I'm so tempted to move the whole upper body. Hogan's saying resist that. So I'm there. And I'm trying to hit a smooth one here. So my waggle's smooth. And then from there my waggle will then move into my shoulder turn and I can play my shot. That's going to take a little bit of work for me. Let's try one though. This is my first shot today. So smooth 7-iron in there. Okay, there. It really feels tight and compact, this right elbow close to right side. There. There. And I'm going up there. God, I can't do it. I've hit a smooth 7-iron. It wasn't my best, it's a very different waggle feel than what I'm used to. And then he says with driver it's going to be completely different. If you've got a driver shot where it's tight fairway, it's into the wind, you need to get up there in two, you need to bomb a driver out there, then your waggle's completely different. For driver, he says the waggle fits the shot. So now I'm not going to be as smooth, I want to be, so he's much more aggressive in the waggle because he wants that. There we go, upper arms tucked in there. He wants that aggression in the actual swing. He's playing that. Now this is an old school swing and it's tighter and it's more compact than the likes of Johnston, for example, who's away up and round here. This is much tighter, more compact, but I get the idea behind it. I get the importance of the waggle. It dictates the club path. The forward waggle dictates the face in relation to that path, and the tempo of the waggle dictates the shot you're trying to hit, or perhaps the club you're trying to hit. I can't even speak today. And as I've mentioned, he then says, introducing the shoulders does not alter the pattern you set in the waggle. By turning your shoulders on your actual backswing, you simply increase the width. You increase the arc of your waggle, so you're increasing the width of the waggle. So that's all hands and arms, and then so I'm here, club's here, club's effectively there at the end of my waggle. Club's like here, there in line with the golf ball. If I add my shoulders in there, then I've increased it by that. So I'm just creating more width, increasing the radius from adding the shoulders. And on the backswing, the order of movement goes like this: hands, arms, shoulders, hips. On the downswing, the order is just reversed: hips, shoulders, arms, hands. So on the backswing, the order of movement goes like this: the hands, arms, shoulders, hips. So the waggle, that's the hands, and then the arms. So I'm there, touching, hands, arms, shoulders, hips. You've seen the reverse pivot with the hips, where the hips go first. Hate that. Hands, arms, hands, it's the waggle, and then a bit element of arms, then the shoulders, and then the hips. That's the sequence. And then he moves on to say that the sequence is, it's like a split second: hands, arms, shoulders, hips. Just a split second between them. But I guess the waggle initiates all that. So it's waggled there, there, there. So the waggle's really the hands. It's amazing the left hand, lead hand goes forward and the trail elbow comes back. So like, I'm going to exaggerate, so it's like that. Incredible. But that's how precise Hogan was. He's way ahead of his time there. Nobody else was talking about that. Nobody else was talking about that. So there. We've hit target again. Get up. Yeah, that's putting. It's very different for me. I'm not sure I could do that. In fact, I couldn't do that. I'm so used to having my whole body move to here. So that's everything. That's hip, shoulder, everything to there. And then that's my rehearsal is more dynamic than Hogan's. I use the whole body to feel where I want to be. He's right though. He is 100% right. So what do I take from that? Well, a waggle's not just a waggle. It has to be structured, and Hogan's is very structured, but so is mine. My EUREKA Golf Swing waggle is extremely structured, but there's much more body movement than Hogan has, but I'm fine with that. At the end of the day, don't just waggle it. Waggle it with a passion, waggle it with conviction, waggle it with a purpose, because that dictates your takeaway, your club face aim, and your swing path back into impact. And as mentioned in previous videos, that's Mr. Hogan explaining what he does. Doesn't mean that's what you and I have to do. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. So that was really interesting. For those of you who are right into this Hogan stuff, which a lot of people are, I'm going to read that whole chapter out to you, and then you can refer to that as you go, or refer back to the video from it. It's your choice. Story time with Steve Johnston, PGA. So this is a good thing to refer to. You can either, if you're watching this before you then go back and watch the video, either or. So, the bridge between the address and the actual start of the backswing is the waggle. As a golfer looks at this objective and figures out the kind of shot he's going to play, his instinct takes over. He waggles the club back and forth. Possibly because the word waggle suggests that any aimless kind of oscillation fills the bill. Many golfers have the mistaken idea that it doesn't really matter how you waggle the club. To put it another way, they think the only purpose in waggling is to loosen yourself up so that you won't be tense or rigid. There's a great deal more to the waggle than that. It is an extremely important part of shot making. Far from being just a lot of minute details, it is a sort of miniature practice swing, an abbreviated dry run for the shot coming up. As the golfer takes the club back on the waggle, he accustomises himself to the path the club will be taking on his actual backswing. As he waggles the club forward, he adjusts himself so that the face of the club head will be coming into the ball square and on the line. During the waggle, as he previews his shot and attempts to telegraph his mental picture from his brain to his muscles, the golfer makes the little adjustments necessary to be perfectly in balance for hitting that particular shot from that particular lie. As he waggles, he tunes himself up and tones himself up for his swing. The shoulders do not turn during the waggle. The feet make only small adjusting movements. The hands and arms move as they waggle the club. The hands and arms pass the rhythm, their tempo of coordination onto the legs and feet. The trunk of the body and the shoulders pick up this beat smoothly from the arms and the legs. The whole body in effect becomes synchronised to the rhythm in which the various parts will be working cohesively together during the swing. If you take full advantage of the opportunity the waggle affords, you can practically rehearse the swing you'll be using. I know that I have sometimes concentrated so hard on the shot I was going to hit that I honestly felt the shot could not fail to come off exactly as I intended. On those occasions, I had the definite sensation that I had really hit the shot before I even started the club back. Wow. In the waggle, the left hand is the controlling hand. The right works along with it. Each time you waggle, this is important, each time you waggle the club back, the right elbow should hit the front part of the right hip just where your pocket watch is. When this takes place, the left elbow, as it must, comes out slightly. The lower part of the arm from the elbow down rotates a little, and the left hand moves 3 inches or so past the ball towards the target. As the hands move back to the ball on the forward waggle, the left hand also moves an inch or so past the ball towards the target. During the waggle, the upper part of the arms remain rooted against the sides of the chest. As we stated earlier, there should be no turning of the shoulders. When a good golfer is going through his waggle, to the uninitiated eye, it sometimes looks as if he were simply getting the fidgets out of his system or finding a surer footing with his spikes. He is, as I have described, doing something far more purposeful than that. He's adjusting to the shot, establishing his coordination in the process. He is in effect conducting an instinctive roll call of the parts of the body he will be using, alerting them and refreshing their memory for the movements they'll be making during the swing. The rhythm of the waggle varies with each shot. Don't groove your waggle. It takes instinct to plan and play a golf shot, and your perceptions for each shot must be done instinctively. Let's say, for example, that you have 130 yards out from a semi-plateau green. I've never seen that word before, semi-plateau green. You've decided that you want to get the ball up in the air in a steep trajectory, and that you'll be playing a 7-iron. You want the ball to strike a shot firmly. You want to strike the shot firmly, as goes without saying, but you want to hit it soft, feathery kind of shot that will float down onto the green. Well, your waggle will somewhat slowly, you'll waggle somewhat slowly, somewhat softly. This is the tempo you will also be using on the stroke. Of course, say on the other hand that you've got to bang a drive low into the wind on a hole where it's important to be out a good distance from the tee to get home in two. For this shot, you'll move the club back and forth with much more briskness, more conviction, more speed, and you'll swing the club. The waggle, in other words, fits the shot. He then goes on to talk about other bits and pieces, and then it gets to the sequence of the backswing, which is the order of movement, which goes hands, arms, shoulders and hips. But that is up to page 69, that is page 65 to page 69. Now, as I say, you can now go back and watch this video again, knowing that, having all that in your mind. This is the big picture, and then I'm going to explain it or demonstrate it to you. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed it. I love the Hogan stuff, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.